Hello and welcome to the first episode of Silly Motor Engineering. You join me in Italy, more precisely in Verano de' Milligari, where in 1972 a man called Gianpaolo Dallara, Mr. Dallara to you and me, founded his company, Dallara. Now, I'm sure you have plenty of questions. What is this project? How much will it cost? How did you get to Dallara? Why are you here? Why are you in my house? But we don't have time for all that. First of all,
Gentlemen, a short view back to the past.
I have been into cars for as long as I can remember. My father's 2CV really made me into the obsessed Citroën fan I am today, but I generally loved everything that was on wheels. Films and animes like Initial D really helped me to develop my car culture outside of Europe because, as a proud Frenchman, there was nothing better than a good old Xantia Activa V6 or a good old 306 Maxi. But then, in 2012, I went to the UK and I made a discovery that would change my life forever. That's right, the famous trio of middle-aged, vulgar Englishmen had to be one of the most influential and truly shaped me into what type of motor enthusiast I am today. During COVID, instead of going to online classes, I preferred to rebuild the entire ignition system of the 2CV that was just rotting away in a shed, and I must say I succeeded after a lot of messing about and breaking a few pieces.
6 months later,
I had the brilliant idea to take the 2CV all the way up the local hill. Well, once I got up, it never went down, at least not by itself.
a few moments later.
Now there's a small issue. Lost first gear, lost rear gear, lost third gear, lost second, and I've only got fourth. And whatever gear I put in, if I turn the car on, and I let go of the clutch, it just dies. And if I go like this, oh, and it's stuck again. I'm fucked, because I'm stranded in the middle of nowhere. Has gone from, lol, my gear lever's stuck, to, oh fuck, I've broken my gearbox, which is basically what's happened. So I'm fucked. I'm in the middle of nowhere, as you can see, and I'm stuck. And I can't even push the car, because the car is stuck in reverse.
Sure, Jan.
So, fuck. Completely fuck. You utter moron.
So, what basically had happened is, by forcing reverse a bit thoroughly, I had not only dislodged a ring that is there to keep the rear gear in place, but also somehow managed to bend 2 of the 3 main axles that hold the forks of the gearbox. Sounds like magic words, but it's actually not that fancy. What it does mean, though, is the gearbox needed a full rebuild, which is always very intelligent and very fun.
A few moments later.
We tried to get the car out with a tractor, but the wheels wouldn't spin, even with the clutch pressed in, because the drive shaft had to be removed.
The next day,
From 20 degrees sun, arrived at 3 centimeters of snow and below freezing temperatures on the next day.
Alrighty, the jack is in place. I had to use coil of WD-40 to unscrew those lug nuts. But now I can start jacking up.
Getting the drive shafts off was particularly troublesome. The car kept slipping off the jacks. We had to attach it to a pickup truck to avoid it from moving, and we finally made it.
I'm being hauled and taken by a tractor.
6 months later.
During the summer of that year, I spent a complete month on the gearbox. At first I tried to fix it without taking it out, but we actually ended up stranded again with my brother. In the middle of nowhere, I knew things had to get radical, and once again, we made it. We rebuilt the complete gearbox. A few months later, I took the 2CV down to Toulouse with a couple of friends, which was quite an adventure, and I would use it as my daily driver for a time. Yes, the car was constantly falling apart. For instance, I once had to replace the gearbox tulips. It's basically what gives the gearbox power to the wheel, right in front of the university's main entrance, which made them very happy. Or one day, my front bearing decided it didn't want to exist anymore. Or when my electric went crazy and I had to redo the entire loom. But I somewhat felt like that wasn't enough. I needed more. I then had another brilliant idea.
Sometimes my genius, it generates gravity.
En même temps.
Ok, c'est bon, je suis dans les rails.
Oh, ça sent l'essence, oui. Ça sent l'essence.
Le samplon 98 Excellium à 2 € le litre.
Allez, Philippe. Fais-moi péter ce car, bordel, Philippe.
Et là, il n'y a plus de batterie.
Oh, Philippe, s'il n'y a plus de batterie, tu fais quoi? Tu tires une balle ou tu...
Ça peut falloir trop d'air.
Ça y est, c'est pas ça.
Si je te promets, ça existe.
C'est que dans les films, ça.
Ah, y a...
Il n'y a plus de batterie.
La batterie est à moitié morte là, donc c'est pas.
Mec, si tu le démarres, Philippe, tu l'éteins pas, hein.
Je peux pas l'éteindre.
Ça t'a un choc activé? Ouais. Ok, ça va.
Il va démarrer, il va instant accélérer.
Tu peux, de toute façon, tu peux garder ça.
Oui.
Oh putain, on
Oui,
arrive.
je crois que t'as trop d'air.
Trop d'air? On met la boîte à air? Faut aspirer.
Vas-y.
C'est ton moment.
Oui.
That's right. I got myself an old Rotax Max go-kart that was supposed to run but ended up needing a lot of work, love, and of course, money. With the guys at Ecam Racing, we fixed it up and had tons of fun with the boys, messing about everywhere with this go-kart as much as we could. And when it worked, that son of a gun really did work. We would test it around on the Esplanade sometimes. People would call the police on us, but most of the time they were curious and interested, and it was mostly good fun. We actually ended up reaching 110 kilometers an hour in a closed run, and it was a very, very intelligent thing to do. And here you have the classical example in vehicle dynamics: never lift in the corner. We also, with the Ecam Racing, did plenty of very intelligent activities, like racing around on pit bikes on campus, among other things, but also participating in National Endurance Karting event, which was a slightly more intelligent. All this to say,
men love women. Even more than that, men love cars.
Dallara is the largest multinational Italian race car manufacturer founded by its current president, Gianpaolo Dallara. After working for Ferrari, Maserati, Lamborghini and Di Tommaso in 1972 in his native village of Verano de Milagari, near Parma, he created the Dallara Automobili. Yes, I am reading from Wikipedia, and if anyone says I'm infringing some kind of copyright, I shall simply answer, no, I'm just not.
Now, for those of you who are wondering, yes, this is the very car in which Maxi Pants Verstappen took his father Jos out in Spa-Francorchamps, famous Belgian circuit. And let's just say Jos was able to really measure the extent of the monstrosity in terms of sheer skill and power that he had created.
And then we go up to which one of the most challenging points of the world. And again here you feel a lot of grip before you go up, and here the car gets really light, but it's just a great feeling to go up here.
Look at this back end. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Pas mal, non? C'est français.
And yes, Dallara also made the Garage 56 Le Mans NASCAR, which you might remember from, I think it was 2023 Le Mans, driven by world champion, Formula 1 world champion, Jenson Button. Another thing you might not know about Dallara is that they make all Formula E's, all Super Formula, and all Indy cars that you see. Every single Indy car that you see today on American roads is made by a little company in the middle of nowhere in Italy. But the craziest part is that it's not even IndyCar, because IndyCar is somewhat intelligent. No, the crazy thing is they also do the NASCAR. And let's not forget, they also make everybody's favorite car on the F1 paddock.
He does not fox smash my door. Tell him that.
You want an umbrella?
Yeah, fuck off. And now we are a fucking bunch of wankers. Yeah, bunch of fucking clowns here. I have nobody because I have no money.
Yes, most of the Haas parts are actually being made in Dallara. I was actually yesterday in the workshop where we managed to see a little titanium part that was being made for the new DRS of the 2024 season Formula 1 Haas. Just another day at Dallara. So now imagine being surrounded by this on a daily basis. How can you not want to build one of your own? How can you not desire to design your own proper race car? Of course, you're nowhere near going to be as good as all the folks down here, but nothing stops you from trying. So as you probably guessed, we are going to be building, and I say we, I mean you and me, are going to be building a track car. Now, first things first, we have to consider a few things. First of all, financial. I'm broke. So I'm going to go the easy way route, so the low cost route. For those of you who don't know, a low cost car is basically just a frame. Basically, imagine a Caterham with no bodywork. That's the first thing. Second thing, I'm going to take heavy inspiration from Formula Student, simply because, well, there's lots of data out there, and it will make me able to, let's just say, racing point the shit out of this car, if you see what I mean. If you don't, I suggest you go look the 2020 Formula 1 season to see what I'm talking about. Now that being said, I don't have neither the staff, neither the budget of the big Formula Student teams. However, I do have the freedom of not competing, which means I'm going to be very sensible with my engine and take one that runs on unicorns and butterflies and rainbows. Secondly, like I said, no bodywork to start with, but then obviously we're going to end up having a bit of bodywork, but I'm not going to go into, oh, look at my aero balance. The point is to have fun, and moreover,
Looking good is more important than looking where you're going.
I also am a firm believer in Elvis Presley, and Elvis said,
Wise men say only fools
So that means I can't rush into this thing. Before starting any fabrication, I want a full, complete SolidWorks down to the last spacer, down to the last screw. I want a full Gantt or associated diagram of knowing what I actually have to do and what I plan to do. A full Excel spreadsheet, once again, to the last spacer, to the last screw, to the last circlips, to be sure that I'm not forgetting anything. No fabrication will start before that, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. As long as I'll be in Italy, I won't have access to any CAD software, SolidWorks, because there's no Wi-Fi. I can only access it through a virtual machine because I'm broke once again, and have taken the decision, very weird, to own a MacBook in engineering. In any case, that means I'm going to have to do most of the modeling with a good old pen and paper. That should be interesting. But hey, if you think about it, guys who made cars like this one, well, of course, were much more talented than I'll ever be, but they still did it without any SolidWorks. So, of course, I think it can be done. There was no patran, there was no finite element analysis, there was just pure skill and a bit of madness. So, I think we've pretty much established that I am a complete idiot. However, I still am a firm believer in good old British engineering, and especially in Colin Chapman and Lotus. Now, Colin Chapman is probably one of the greatest engineers, automotive engineers, that Britain has ever seen. He said very famous phrases like, simplify and add lightness. If you have a light car, you're fast everywhere. If you have a heavy car with a big engine, you're only fast on the straights. And other phrases like this, and everybody was like, ooh, even today. Although, he did end up losing everything and giving all his money away to a drug dealer called John DeLorean. Yes, this DeLorean.
So, just to recap, we're gonna take heavy inspiration from the Formula Student. We're gonna be using parts from a super sports bike. My choice for Honda is simple: affordable, lots of parts, powerful, and of course they've always made the best engines. Right, Fernando?
The engine was going much slower than before. Amazing. GP2 engine. GP2.
Next time we actually start the real thing. And to design a car, you have to start from the most outer part, meaning we shall design a bolt. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.